Still in the mounting yard? My computer decided to update itself. Right, functions. Roll. Still no Randwick. Hello, hello. I don't know why still no times for Sydney, but it doesn't really make much difference, does it? Morning. Feeling better? Yes, definitely better than Saturday. Still weird, but getting better. It works this way. Fix his camera. It's driving me crazy. Centered. Bro. I need help. We all need help. Nice multi yesterday. Yeah, it was a good day. Today was very boring. Nothing around. It's nice to get a couple of photos. Oh, Royal Randwick. What did we get 8 races? Why are there no times? Big cock John. I raged a few centimetres off the ground. Mate. After the last few days. What's going on here? Robbie's going to war with David Funt. Is that his name? Oh, shit. Carnival over. How depressing. Why is my head? Go further down. I'll spend a little. How good was Pride of Jenny's on it? Is it? Yeah, I just sort of saw little bits and pieces. What was he carrying on about? Was I saw the. I'm assuming he was talking about saying J Mac will never ride his horse or something like that. Was he? What's his name? Tony Tobre. Hey Macca, don't sook up because you get beaten by an Irish jumps jockey. He has more balls than you. Waiting for a card on a $5.5 billion horse is pretty piss weak. Have a crack next time. Oh. Be humble when you win. You don't win being humble. Oh my God, he's just gone to war. The funny part is, I don't know whether he rides the horse well or not, Declan Bates. The horse just sort of does its own thing. Like if you got someone like Nash or someone on it that's a bit stronger, they might get more. They might be able to actually rate a better. I don't know. Yeah, he's definitely on fire. He's replying to anyone. He's never ridden for me and never will, buddy. Oh my goodness. I'm sure James won't be losing sleep over it either, just quietly. Oh man. Media platform. He won't cop a fine. I don't think so. I don't think so. Can't imagine he will. It's kind of true though, right? Like, what was the embarrassing? What did he want? What did J Mac want? Someone to card him up? Like, I don't know. He's pretty right, Tony. I disagree. Have a go. Like, well, he never had a go, so he's got no reason to whinge. He didn't try to win the race, so if he's whinging, the other guys in front of him went too slow. Take off. He didn't. So, I kind of agree with what he's got to say, but it's obviously he has more balls than you, maybe a little bit far. Anyway, All right, Royal Randwick. Obviously, the track was the main talking point. Just talking about this Tony Tobre with a bit of a Twitter outburst, telling J-Mac to get back in his box. That's fair enough. The bloke spends millions on racing. He can say whatever he wants. How much water did they attract? Yeah, this is my I went to tweet something, but I'm just kind of sick of it. It just never doesn't do anything positive. So what's the point? You're starting to get sick of it. The betting side of things, I'll keep bitching about because I think eventually someone might listen. But when it comes to complaining about misrepresentation of tracks and things, it just drives you insane. The thing that sort of stood out to me was the lack of confidence from the course curator, that is it Mike Wood, in the morning, and he was like, they said, any chance of an upgrade? And he nearly had a heart attack and said, we're on the borderline of a 6 now. Any rain will probably head into the 6 range. And you could kind of feel that he knew that it was worse than what they were letting on. And, it was. It was ridiculous. So it was a 9 basically from the first, and maintained that. So, and got worse. So the one thing I don't understand. Yeah, well, I don't know. I'm kind of happy they didn't run it. It was pretty diabolical. But how do you measure? How does anyone? I understand there's got to be some sort of system, right? But how do you measure 2 milligrams or 2 millimeters of irrigation? You've got a track that's whatever it is, 2,000 meters around, 20 meters wide. How do you measure how much water that is for 2 mils? And how do you disperse it evenly and it all to end up in where it's supposed to? It's impossible, right? So the wind's coming 20 mile an hour from the southeast one day and then 5 mile an hour from the northwest the next day, for one thing. It's an imperfect situation. So it's complete garbage, and you should just not water unless you can possibly, you possibly can't avoid it. You should just not water. And the 2 mil of irrigation is the first thing that scared me. Anytime they're putting water on these tracks this time of year when it's starting to get a bit cooler and there's rain around, it ends up in carnage. So anyway, it was bad. And obviously rain on the day is impossible to combat. You just can't, because the track opens up, the water gets into it, the water sits on top, and it becomes backwash. The jockeys can't see, and it's a nightmare. They never used to water them anywhere like they do now. Never. And they never used to remove the rails like they do now. It's all a bit of a wank fest. And these cutaway rails, oh my God, New South Wales seem to put 1 or 2 more on a week. It drives me insane. They say it's for, what did someone say? It was it was a good one. That he heard one of the curators say it was for turf, mate, for turf health or something like that. That grass couldn't go without water for 2 days. How has it survived for thousands of years, millions of years? Yep. I was for Magic Time, but even it was lucky to run, wasn't it? Well, look at Ascot on Saturday. It was like a 2.9 or something. I think it came out on. It raced beautifully. Well, that's the funny part, isn't it? That they copped all this gloating, all this exciting, well done, when they sat in their hut and watched the rain fall out of the sky for 4 days, and then magically the track was okay, and then all of a sudden there's 2 days of non-rain and they decide to get the hose back out. Like, seriously. The praise was a joke. Yeah, and there's a lot of horses gone over it as well. It's definitely not all their fault. It just drives you crazy that they don't give you straight information, which is all we want. We don't care what the conditions are. We don't care what they are. As long as we know what they are and we're fed information that's correct, then it's on us to make a decision. But when we're told it's a 5, when it's a 9, And often you're told like it was a 10 that day. It was like a 6 or a 7. It's a long way out. I couldn't believe they sent the ponies out in time, like in reflection. I can't believe they sent those kids out there on that track. Anyhow, let's get into this meeting. It won't take long because it's not much to look at, I don't think. Fencing run was obviously huge. First race was run at breakneck tempo, and that's kind of, I think, why the fence looked so good. It was so ordinary out wide, the kickback and all that. It was just hard to run on. So, hard fence up on speed. The track probably wasn't anywhere near as heavy either. So most of this form's going to be thrown out the window, I think. I'm just going to grab the steward's report. Yeah, well, a lot of trainers, like they're changing the camber of the home turn at Gosford because Chris Waller says that he won't send his horses there because you can't run on. Like, are you serious? There's, it's a tight little suburban provincial track. And you're going to spend a fortune trying to change the camber on one home bend because one trainer says he won't take his horses there because you can't run on. So imagine what pull he's got in town where 90% of his runners run. And he wants, soft ground to be a premium. Anyway. Yeah, Gosford is. They're about to rip it up. Like, Port Macquarie was probably the best country track in New South Wales and they ripped it up for God knows what reason, because there was an insurance claim for something that happened or something. I don't know. Just madness. Actually, I wanted to write that down to talk about the stewards. A couple of funny ones this week. Holy cow, what a sport, wouldn't happen anywhere else. Well, it seems to be a little bit out of control at the moment. We joke about it, but it's just getting a bit silly. So Raffle pulled up 2 out of 5 lane here. Couple of forgives for it, first and second run back. Notable sort of horses that were beaten a long way that were in the betting. Basically everything. Resistible Raffle, Silvanito, Electrica. Yeah, I nearly feel like not reviewing this meeting, but we'll look at it and we'll just talk about it. What does it matter? The horse is going really well here, is Always Sure, but it does come up the fence and stay on the fence the whole way. Putt for Doe's in front of it, so this is Putt for Doe here. I don't know why she went so fast on Cruel Summer. She did the same thing last start and got away with it, went a little bit slower there, but this was sort of Rachel Schumacher back at her old tricks where she just sort of drops the hammer, and she nearly got away with it here, but sort of these horses back in the pack that were on that fast lane. So Isaiah runs 4th, winner Putt for Doe, 3rd horse Always Sure, and 2nd Cruel Summer are all rails in run. It is the pattern of the day. And it was a very fast tempo here. So anything that's sort of out in this section, it was definitely a disadvantage, but they had a strong pace advantage. So whilst I do think this Always Sure is going well, and it's 2 runs back from a long spell, have been very good, wasn't really set up well to run well on a heavy track here. He's still got to be wary that it was pace assisted and in the right part of the track when the majority of the field weren't. I thought Go Troppo got home okay. It'll be close to its top. It's probably the horse that you could say, because it's a horse that can race up towards the speed, and certainly didn't here. It's a horse that could be nearing ready to go, just if it finds the right race and can roll forward. I thought its effort was very good, probably one of the better closing runs of the day, off the inside, but it did race back, rails in run during the race. Kathy O'Hara, she's having a baby. Pretty sure. Peak beaten 61 lengths, very unlucky. It has been unlucky, Peak. It's actually been flying for most of its prep and just hasn't really found any luck or the conditions to suit it, and I think they sort of had a shot at the title here, 1400, and then ran into this track. So I feel sorry for the connections at Peak. But yeah, nothing too exciting here. Putt for Doe, right place, right time, very fit horse. He's always been a decent enough horse, so no surprise that it picked up the race. But yeah, Cruel Summer's going well. Loves these sort of conditions. Just went a little bit quick in front. Always sure, going okay. I think Uzziah is going really well. The one that chased the leader. Not sure how many runs he's got left in him this prep, but I think Go Troppo was only second up from memory. Was only second up, so it's been back in the field, 2 runs back. So 10th of the turn, beaten 5. Then in the same sort of on-pace dominated race, Cruel Summer. Wide draws both times, out the back again here, last in the run. And you can see sort of he didn't get fit. You know, didn't start like really fit until actually sort of hold his form after he's about 3rd up. So he'd be ready for a mile now or even a touch further. And certainly could see a change in pattern. Sort of he can be ridden more forward and be hard to beat. Probably, you know, next start, if not the start after. What were the sections on the leader? So I haven't got our time, so I'm only working off official times for whatever reason, and I've never seen this come Monday night. Still haven't got the times through. So off their times, it went 14 lengths above to the 600 and then came home, but very fast time for the conditions. There were a couple of fast races, like Hueta's race and this race were both run at really fast tempos, and you can see like they were the 2 races where horses really ran on from backward positions for the most part anyway. So it makes sense on paper. And then the last 2, just the times are diabolical. The track was cactus. They went very, very slow in the Champagne, and then the All-Age Stakes was just a bit of a slogfest. So the only reason you would like the ride on the winner, on the leader, is if you were on the winner. But yeah, whatever. All right, that's race 1. Race 2, just checking steward's report. Cardiac arrhythmia for Sade Chicken. That's it on horses pulling up. This race was a more even tempo, but still solid. They went quick all the way. I would have been very interested to see the correct times here. So it's a shame I don't have them. That's why I didn't put out the sheet I've been putting out with the tempos and race qualities, just because I haven't got the times yet.
Racing now, and don't you think an Occhiata, the 2 in similar colours were first 2 out, and Occhiata will take the lead. Now Bowls Angel.
I think this horse out here's burst into win a race, don't you think? It's just had no luck or preparation. How far does he get beat here? 27.2. So belgian 27.2 length of feet here. Should be ready to go now, but it did have a torrid run again here. So Belvedere Boy's backing on the inside here. It's actually a very good win. So this is poor Don't You Think. Wide, no cover, working in a fast run race. And so this is a fast run race, but as just slightly above average tempo. Difference is that they've run quality fast sections all the way. So the tempo is not fast because they didn't slow down too much. It is slightly fast, but not seriously fast.
In advance of Rapidash, well back in the field, Monty Outlander. A gap of 2 to Viz I Do from Borrowed Luck, and the Ruffy or Silver Warriors last of all. So
again, rails in run. Leader runs second. Balls Angels behind here, so it's a 6. It's off the fence. Rapidash's. Where is Rapidash? In the red cap with the white. A little bit further back. Occhiata's behind the leader. And it runs 5th. Ship Shape's in the middle, I believe, if that's not Sade Chicken. Sustaining that 3 wide run on the outside of Sate Chicken, and Belvedere Boys is angling off the fence, and now Nash will have to weave some magic from there. Coming to the corner, it's Dirty Magic in front from Ship. So the forgive runs for me right at this point are certainly Don't You Think's just sat wide, no cover the whole way, just impossible. Rapidash forced to that wider section a little bit early and didn't have the rails trail. Belvedere Boy, absolutely perfect run. Slices through, great riders. As Pay the Pun's already said here, every conceivable possible chance. Loves this sort of ground, handles it. Just a good horse. Very unlucky not to qualify for the Country Championship final. I think he would have gone very close.
Giving good chase. Here comes the favourite. Belvedere Boys charges to the lead inside the 150 and kicks away. Dirty Merchant, Walls Angels fighting out. Walls
Angels was well set up to run well in this race, so I think, you know, it's run really well. Dirty Merchant's probably run above itself. The stable's flying. Horse are going great. Tactics great here. He rode the horse well. It's really, that's probably going to be a career best for it, I would say, from a ratings perspective. Occhiata back towards the inside was very fit and well set up and in the right place at the right time too. Everything kind of makes sense here. Rapidash again ran really well. Probably had the hardest run of the three, having to come that little bit wider. And there wasn't much happening behind, I didn't think. As I sort of said, a complete forgive for don't you think, but it's still a worry how much that run will take out of it, beating 27. Monty Outlander, I think, was short of a run, so it's a horse that can improve. I'd be forgiving of it. It was only second up here, so, you know, from back in the field, it was never going to sustain a run, I didn't think. The winner, clearly dominant. You know, it's probably one horse that can graduate out of this grade comfortably, whereas the rest, I don't think will. I couldn't see them. You know, they might measure up in a Class 3 or Class 6 or something like that in Brisbane, but very difficult for most of these horses to go to Saturday grade, whereas I think Belvedere Boys will and certainly will up here, up in Brisbane. What do I reprice the winner? No, it's yeah. The thing you know now is the fence was good. You know, making ground on the fence was ideal. A strong tempo certainly helped the horse. You know, getting off the inside when it wanted to certainly helped the horse. So its margin couldn't have been any bigger, I don't think. But in saying that, he was clearly dominant. Were there any sort of major surprises to other dangers? No, not really. So, yeah, I probably, you know, probably right. Two's on, $1.70, something like that. Race 3, so this is the first of the group races. Group 3, James H.B. Carr Stakes. I actually haven't watched this race again, so this was a very slow tempo, especially for the day. The slowest run race apart from the Champagne Stakes, which was run in some crazy conditions. So very different to this race. But a slow tempo. So this horse on papers absolutely ripped home. And looked impressive doing so. I'm actually keen to watch the replay again. 3-year-old filly that could be very scary sort of over the carnival. Scarlet Oak having its second start in a race from memory and first start in Australia. Interesting to see where it ends up this preparation. Chica Mojito having its first start in Australia as well, both over from New Zealand. It's a Wonder was just given an absolute sore back, a complete forgive. And I would say that a lot of these didn't handle the conditions. Cresili, which shifted in, was told to exercise more care, nothing there. French Endeavour, post-race veterinary, no abnormalities. So no abnormalities for anything post-race here, apart from, you know, if they're beaten a long way. Obviously haven't handled the conditions. Yeah, cardiac arrhythmias are very difficult. Sorry, I was just missing Callum's one here. I'd watch Sade Chicken and see where he pops up. Just tackling that before we tackle this. Yeah, cardiac arrhythmia is a difficult one because a lot of horses would have it post-race if you sort of measured them all. It's a bit of a cop-out for mine. You know, a lot of horses have a habit of it. So it is something that can be completely misleading, as in a horse can bounce back off it very easily. So it's especially if they trial, I love to see, even if it's a quiet trial. I definitely prefer to see that. And Cody's certainly a trainer that, you know, check its bloods and make sure everything's spot on before he runs the horse again. So it could improve significantly. I remember seeing Cassandra in the yard at Mini Valley last year. They applied mascara to her eyes, picture of a horse. Yeah, I don't think I've seen it in person. I can't remember actually seeing it parade, but yeah, it definitely had a very, very soft run first up. So no surprise to see it improve here. But, you know, from everything you've seen, it's run very, very well and very, very strong to the line. So, yeah, straight away, Debbie in the crowd after the race. So you can see straight away that they're bunched up, much slower tempo, and you know, sort of horses that were found the better ground, had the turn of foot, all came to the fore. And again, you know, as everyone's kind of said, third horse, second horse, winner, all rails in run. Chicken Mojito's outside here. I think it's second last. It runs fourth. Bajanti is up closer to the speed, out wide. So its effort's pretty good. Had to do a little bit of work, but there's not much tempo on at this stage, so don't want to overrate that. Just trying to find not excuses, but just need to be really wary of a lot of things when these conditions are in. Just want to, so the start, it's a wonder. Jumped a lot better. Just dragged out of the race. So, yeah, see, this is, I'm going to have a whinge, but I'm going to have a whinge and say why. So, to me, and I heard him post-race talk about this, and he was like, oh, we were happy to take a sit today and take our medicine from the draw. That's okay. And it's okay to get back in a race. But you should get back in a race because the other horses are going fast and they're running away from you and you can't keep up. Not because you're reverse parking your horse. And okay, there are situations sort of where you might want to come back a pair to get cover or whatever. That's fine. But when they're going so slow that they literally can't hold their horses and you're still reverse parking, looking for cover, something wrong. So, you know, one dig there, he might have been able to be outside of Hasty Honey and then end up in the 1-1 or something like that. But because he's got a preconceived idea that he's going to go back on this horse, he does so, and you can still see here whilst everyone's sort of looking across and looking sideways, he's going backwards, literally reverse parking this horse and giving away ground that is going to be hard to make up because of how slow they're going. So, just a bitch about the ride, but it's also just how I sort of look at the races too. There's big upside for a horse like this if it's ridden more neutral to positive next time out in a more appropriately run race, and then he ends up widest in the straight. So complete forgive for It's a Wonder. The horse out wide here, who's that? The Inhibitions is just a complete forgive as well. Slow tempo, sitting wide in the run, I'm not that big a worry about, but 4 and 5 wide and punching up and sustaining a run on this track was literal suicide. So, yeah, I think how far does it get beat? It gets beat 17. So, you know, sort of the margin speaks for itself, but genuine excuses for Inhibitions, just given an absolute Barry Crocker. And I think, to Tommy Berry's credit, he came back and said, I couldn't have ridden it worse if I tried. That's all you want to hear. And it was pretty right. So, here's the winner coming through here, coming through the middle. Second horse, here. Third horse is in front now. Bajanti runs 5th. Chicken Mojito back here runs 4th.
In now, 3 on runners. Unique and last 450 on the outside. Going pretty wide now, Hasty Honey. Now Scarlet Oak is slicing through, giving chase from Hellbent on You. Inhibitions down to the 2.
Sorry, I had the wrong horse here. Here's the winner coming through. That was Cristilli that ends up out the back. So I don't know why Hasty Honey went that wide. I don't think it was a huge problem, but it was very strange. If that had sort of stayed much closer to the inside, would have finished a little bit closer for sure. Don't think it costed the race. Winner completely dominant. And looks like she's got reserves of energy, really. Like you can see, another thing is kind of look for, half pricks its ears. See most of these horses, they're struggling to lift their head with energy. This horse is really sort of still got a lot of bounce in it, which is a great sign on these conditions and sort of running through the line. I thought It's a Wonder's run was very good and will be one of the more hidden runs in the race or out of the program for sure. Just given absolutely none, everything against, got wide. We saw J-Mac try to send one even wider out there later in the day. definitely just was horrible out there. It was quicksand for sure. So winner, very good. Lots of upside. Second horse, every possible, but good. I thought Pajanti went okay. A pass mark for sure for Chica Bonito first up, Chica Mojito, and, okay for a Hasty Honey, but in the right place at the right time, up on speed, just given a bit of a funny ride in the straight, but sort of they maybe cancel each other out a bit. I don't think there's much hidden in any of these horses. I think there's plenty hidden in this horse. So it's probably the horse that, from a review perspective, I'm going to be the kindest to. And but I don't want to be knocking on the win. I think the winner's looks great. It's done a lot right. Interested in Scarlet Oak going forward. Wary over Hasty Honey, I'd say, is probably the best way to put it. And I want to see Chica Bonito again. Pajanti's probably getting deeper into its prep and maybe not a lot of upside in it here, whereas It's a Wonder's only had the one win first up at Newcastle in a maiden, then gone straight to this race second up and given an absolute barrier trial. So it's the horse for me to follow out of this race. I'll tell you what angers me most. Beside all the track and bullshit, Duckworth flat out declaring the short wall a favourite here. It's like he loves knowing the weekend punters losing. Son of it still. Well, is it really up to Charlie? They asked for his opinion, he gives it. I'm not. I don't think he would have declared it and bet up on Kasana. I don't think a lot of them. I don't think they know. I think they're, especially these conditions and whatever. It's hard to hold it against anyone. Most of the time when I listen to him, especially I like listening to them with maidens, especially Canterbury Friday nights and stuff. So when you probably get the most coverage, and you can definitely tell from the way he speaks their confidence, because where these stables should be deadly is maidens and things. They can work horses so easily with better class horses, and then sort of get a line through them, understand where they are. So where they should be able to know how their horse is going to perform is in low grades. When it gets to these sorts of races, conditions, jumping up and down in distance, different form lines coming together, it's hard to be harsh on stable representatives of mine, because not only do they not know how their horses are going to go to a certain degree, they don't know the opposition. So whereas maidens, they can put their horse with a Saturday horse, work it a few times, get a good angle on it, and be fairly confident that no matter what's in the race, theirs is going to be hard to beat. Where Chicken might go? Queensland Oaks. You would assume that that's where they'll try and get it to. What's this horse's form? So it's on the same trail for sure. Out to 2,000 metres last start. He's going to have a huge team aimed at this. He's going to have half a dozen horses at least aimed at the Queensland Oaks. We'll talk about Cello's going to the South Australian Oaks. Kenyatta's already up in the Gold Coast stable, so it's up here already. It'll be going towards the Queensland Oaks, and you would imagine, Kitsana, maybe Scarlet Oak, and Chica Mojito will all be heading that way as well. I'm sure Hasty Honey's on that sort of path also. He got to a mile last prep and won, and then was put away, so they haven't tested it past a mile. It's probably on the same path. Yeah, I wouldn't disagree that the tactics on Hasty Honey cost it second. Elliot, agree. Yeah, if he's saying Kasana can't win, that's not ideal. I always laugh that they rubbed out jockey managers, and obviously I'm close to that, and I'm not trying to sound petty, but saying that we've got influence over the race and we've got sort of inside information over the race. That's why we shouldn't be allowed to bet on the races when, foremen and trainers and vets and anyone else can bet in the race, and also have influence over the public by getting on media and sharing opinions and things. And it's it's a bit weird, but anyway. If anyone is bullish, the horse don't do much. Yeah, I've been around him quite a bit, so I can probably got a bit more of an edge on telling when he's sort of confident or not, because it's very hard for stable representatives not to be extremely positive about their own horse's chances, no matter what. They've got to try and stretch the truth a little bit for, owner's sake, stable's sake, everyone's sake. It's very rare you get, and you do get it, certain trainers and stable reps that are extraordinarily honest. I can't win. I can't understand why this was $3 today. A lot of them want to get on and get interviewed when their horses are short so that they can say, like, what's going on? Why is this horse so short? Because they feel bad for the punters that their horse is so short when they don't agree. Yeah, well, Mick Price is... no, Chris Waller is not one of the biggest punters in Australia. No. Not even close. He may have connection to some big punters, but he's not personally. No. And I did know him decently well a long time ago, and things change, but he just doesn't need to be. Mick Price, if he said black, I'd be very confident it's red or white, whatever you think the opposite of black is. He is consistent. All right, race 4. I want to have a good look at this race again too. Again, I haven't sort of had a chance. I've been waiting for the times to come in to review the meeting properly, and haven't had the chance because they never came in. Number 1, the protest. Number 2, whether she had an opportunity to go left at the top of the straight and never have to worry about a protest. Whether she made the right decision because the fence was obviously good to stay there, or she got a little bit lucky. I want to have a look at the run of Tannhauser, because we may, off the back of this, be able to bet against him again at this sort of distance if he didn't run it strongly, or whether he had genuine excuses. And that's probably the main things to look at here. Very evenly run race. I would say overall a little bit below average, but nothing, like right there, and especially on these sort of conditions on the day. This is the closest thing to an even tempo, this and the next race. And, not a bad time overall, not a bad last section. So, the race looks okay.
Loaded and we're ready to go. The rain is eased for the running of this race. Stand by.
I don't think Tannhauser is much good, but I'm happy to be proven wrong. So Gold Bullion straight to the front. Winner Kintyre straight in its back. Our Gold Hope third. Fence. So fence again. Tannhauser runs 4th. Jacob's Time runs 5th. I think it ends up working forward. Where is Jacob's Time? Oh, there it is, out wide here. So he rolls forward. Texas Fireball out wide there.
Fast improving wide out. Kintyre sits handy. Then came the grey Texas Fireball tracking.
And nothing Tannhauser's done says to me it runs 2,000 strong as yet. But as I said, I'll have a better look here. Bit unlucky there, J-Mac, that Texas Fireball ended up in front of him. So whilst he probably looked like he was going to settle in the first 4 or 5, he's ended up back 7th, 8th, which is certainly not ideal. I don't know really sure what happened there. Why did he end up where he ended up? So he's on the back of Ravello, and he's just allowed that horse to stride forward. So they're not going overly fast. It is a bit of a weird one why he hasn't held his spot there. You can see the tempo's really slackening off a little bit here. And, those up on speed have definitely got control. And Tannhauser's been shuffled back even further. So we all talk through our kick. It's only natural. But it only hurts you in the long run. So you do have to be objective. So this helps him a little bit, Tannhauser. The track that the fact that Ravello and Texas Fireball go early, and he's now made up 2-3 lengths with cover without doing anything basically. So he's now within striking distance, but he is 4 wide when the fence is certainly an advantage. Subjective, how big that advantage is, but certainly an advantage. So now he's come wide. I think he's made the right decision there, J-Mac. But it was certainly hard to sustain a run from out there. So we know that he can sustain a run. He's got to turn a foot. especially in these staying race. There was not a big, huge pace advantage, so the only advantage is really position in run, and the first, second, third have all had better runs in transit for sure than Tannhauser. I just want to see here whether Jamie Carr could have got on the back of sort of Jacob's time and worked and pushed Our Gold Hope sort of there and gone outside of Jacob's time. Maybe she thought Jacob's time would drop off, but she is following sort of 20-1, 20-1 chance. I just thought it was probably a better idea to get on the back of this horse, Jacob's time, and have the option to get the run that Our Gold Hope did. So Tannhauser nearly looks the winner here. And you've just got to make a personal choice whether you think it was the ground that was against him, the superior section of the track was towards the inside, or whether he peaks on his run and just doesn't run the trip strong. The way I think here, personally, the gaps that open up are good. But are they real? You've got horses that sort of had harder runs and just once they got tired on this surface, the big margins open up. So margins are not as impressive given the conditions of the day. Our Gold Hope, I think, only just runs out 2,000 if it does at all. Gold Bullion's just going okay. Kintyre's a very fit horse, not a bad horse, been held up, maybe would have won by a further if it got off the fence or had clear running. So is that colouring in the race and the run of Tannhauser a little bit as well? I'm not sure, but right across the line to me looks like he's spent. It is his first run at 2,000 this prep, I think. Was it a mile or came off last start? So maybe he can improve, but I'd be very wary of this race carrying into better races. I thought the protest was a little bit lucky to be uphill personally, and I had a very small bet on the winner, just more of a interest, and just thought that Tannhauser was ridiculously short. So no. So I was very happy with it being uphill, but I thought it was a little bit lucky. Just trying to get the head on. Going to be one of these stupid screens that Racing New South Wales, for whatever reason, they won't let you so it'll be like that. It'll be ugly, but at least you can see it.
Gold Bullion comes up the rise in front of Jacob's time. Our Gold Hope running on it.
Blew your head off. So Tim's like, what is he? There's probably one horse. There's probably a horse. He's probably two off the inside. Hard to tell when. There is a run there for sure. Tim's not really laying in a lot. By the time she gets there, he's got the whip in the right. The horse is not laying in really. Without any contact, she hits the fence. And then very late, there's that. That was a gutsy ride. I think she was overly patient. I think she got away with a average ride personally, and I was surprised the protest was upheld so quickly, and the margin is probably the most important reason for that. And the reason why the margin was what it was is basically one of the sickest head bobs of all time. So if the bob goes the other way and Gold Bullion, he's ahead. I reckon he's ahead in front, and literally it's like head up, head down, nose margin. Whereas head up, head down the other way, it's probably a long head. So I think everything possible went Kintyre's way to win the protest. Probably should have won the race. Got away with an average ride. In your opinion, did Tim push in, but Jamie also in brushing the rail spooked the horse into laying it like it's 50 to go? I think protest we got upheld. Yeah, I honestly think it was a coin flip. I would have struggled to uphold that protest as a steward, and that's coming from someone who backed the winner. I know I'm also, a Tim Clark fan, and he's a good mate of mine. So but that's nothing to do with it. Honestly, it's just a situation where I thought the interference was really late, and if you factor in the bob of the heads, which you can't really, but saying like that's as close as it possibly could have got on the line, and it still didn't win. Yeah, it's irrelevant anyway, but whatever. It's a good horse, Kintyre. I think that's really stupid. Any big tips this week, Slope? What? Who's getting their shit together? It's horrible to bet into and near impossible to profit from all this bullshit going on. What bullshit? What's going on? What bullshit? The rain up here is going to be a nightmare. It's piecing down again here. From that race, yeah, I'd sit on the fence quite a bit. I'm not sure what they'll do with Kintyre, but it's had a lot of racing. Gold Bullion's pretty tough. He'll just find another similar race up in Brisbane or somewhere else and run honestly. Our Gold Hope, I'd rather see it sort of freshen and come back in distance a touch potentially, and back to mare's grade, filly's grade, and Tannenhouse is a horse that I'd actually be interested to take on again if it came up short in a similar race, especially if it sort of is going to be forced to back and wide sort of situation or whatever. The overall state of the game is bullshit. Well, it is, but does that really affect us? For the most part, no. It's frustrating, but okay. So this race, Marzu wins. What's it called? Doesn't really matter. Hallmark Stakes. Pretty even tempo again, slightly above average. Favourite. Just looked in trouble a long way out front page. Wasn't sure whether the conditions would really suit him because he just had so much on paper that looked to suit him if the track was firm. And, the presence of the heavy surface really could only hurt him. I thought just because horses like Afcabin and Marzu just grow a leg. I think nearly all of them. Valana had really strong wet track form. So it looked like it was only going to hurt him, really. It was a bit of a fence-sitting race. But $2.10 SP looks, especially in hindsight, extraordinarily short. On a firm track with the rail out, absolutely. But once these conditions were in play, I think everyone just thought, lead a fence with the fence okay. It was ideal, but it wasn't really on pace being the best place to be. It was just inside and saving ground in the run. So no real surprise to see Marzu bounce back to somewhere near his best here. He just absolutely loves these conditions. Ran well. Valana was good first up. This is Valana here. Afcabin, again, sort of half missed it and then wouldn't go early. And not a great sign, I don't think, for this horse. A horse that looked like he might be going really well early in his prep and just struggled to repeat that first up run with excuses, but getting difficult to trust now, I would say. Colino's a horse that I really like and just never looked comfortable, sort of jumped really well, and which I like to see from a horse like it. But then sort of drifts back, never in a good spot, getting dragged back. I can imagine it's getting a lot of kickback, so it's throwing its head and doing a few things wrong. I'd be forgiving of Colino. And Valana, which I've already said, is like a pretty good run first up. He does travel in the run again now. Afcabin back on the inside, but I just didn't like the way he sort of jumped and couldn't get going. I wouldn't mind the old Jay Cummings 30 days between runs and a little clean out trial to really see how he's going. I think that would be ideal before we see him go around again.
He's got the upper hand, Marzu. Gets 2 lengths clear. Valana goes to second, and then came Afcabin. Marzu at the 100. Oh, he's loving the conditions today. So
Valana's just an ultimate honest horse. Runs really well first up. Probably wins in another 50 metres. Afcabin, a little bit of a funny run, but okay. Marzu, okay. I'd just be forgiving of Colino running last and even front page, but he's a hard horse to catch. I don't think we learn a lot there. Yeah, a lot of the a lot of the post-race interviews, I'm surprised that they released from Saturday, because a lot of them basically gave, how do you say this nicely? They were pretty scary, and they were scary that, most of them said I couldn't see. A lot of them said we couldn't see. A lot of them said, I couldn't see, came back and the horse was just covered in mud head to toe, swallowed mud. A lot of things you don't want to hear. So, yeah, not ideal, really. We'll have a look at Classic Gal, probably multi into cello. He's a Duck Marzu. He'll retire to Wet and Wild. Agree. Clothes streaker. Anything over here? Not really. Yeah, Tyler couldn't see in that race where he said, I don't know how I went because I couldn't see and the horse couldn't see. And I think it is China. Pretty much. I think the only time they release things they shouldn't is when they're not aware they shouldn't. A bit like the Tuncurry 1300 that was really a 1200 that ran over 1300. How's Bryce Hayes currently going? He's a hard one to gauge. He's certainly a decent trainer for a horse. For a trainer that doesn't have a lot of horses, he gets decent results. A lot of them are quality horses, so you'd expect him to do well. But I don't think he's got many numbers, so it's hard to sort of gauge how he's going. He's not like a trainer we see all the time that has sort of 50 runners a month, so you can always have a decent idea how they're going. But he seems to do a pretty good job. Maybe he aims a little bit high with them a little bit, but he definitely likes to sort of win in town and wherever if he can. And, he doesn't take them to the country too often unless he's either trying to give them an education or that's where they belong. So, there's a lot worse trainers out there than Bryce Hayes. Yeah, didn't learn a lot here. These horses go to Brisbane. I dead set, like you already talked about. Marzu's a fish. I don't think he's a Group 1 horse on a dry track, and I don't think any of these horses. Well, I don't think Valana is. Af Cabin, bit of a jury's out. Polino's definitely a horse that can improve off this. Much better horse than what we saw there, and a Forgive going wherever it heads next. Most of these horses you wouldn't want to see backing up in 2 weeks, no matter where, just coming off this track. JRA Plate. All right. I'm going to put my tin hat on here. We're going to have a look at the run of this horse last start, and the genius that is Nash Rawiller. And certainly not saying that he did anything untoward this day, and I'm certainly not saying he did anything untoward on Saturday. But what I'm going to say is that he was very happy across the line here, and there was a very strong betting move for this horse, and the same jockey rode it first up and second up. And I'm certainly not inferencing that he backed the horse himself in any way, shape or form. But this is Sweater first up, back on the inside here. You see sort of charging a little bit from, like I saw this run, same as everyone did. But at 1,500 to 2,000 metres heavy track, second up, never an easy thing to do. And I thought the setup was well and truly against him. He certainly surprised me the way he went on Saturday. But just wanted to sort of show. He runs up a butt here, and I can see him how well he's travelling back towards the inside here. And he runs up the back of Mark Minter, Vinny's horse, and never really gets a shot at the title. And I reckon he gave the Nash a pretty good feel here, and he expected a much improved run on Saturday. And it was definitely not a surprise to him the way the horse went. Yeah, sort of back towards the inside there, a very average tempo race. He was never going to be able to run on, and I reckon Nash got the feeling he went a lot better than what he went visually. But anyway, you can see sort of how he went there, and then he explodes here. He didn't have strong, heavy track form, wasn't bad, and he's got some feet issues and alike, so it's not a surprise to see a horse improve. But again, like where he is in the run, Goldman looked the winner to me. I was amazed that they took a sit on Goldman. And what was the tempo like here? Sorry. Chopping and changing a bit. So a very fast run race. And fast overall time. But again, the times are dicey. Yeah, they went a lot quicker than I think anyone anticipated here. It didn't looked like Goldman would potentially lead in control. But then the Ma pair come from out wide here and really put a lot of speed into the race. So that's Yonsei and Almania, which is interesting in itself here because there was a huge push for this horse, New Energy here. I couldn't really understand it. It had a lot of reasoning why. Like, it wasn't proven at 2,000 metres at all. Wasn't proven on the ground. Both its runs were, back in the field and running on late. Didn't never look like winning either race at any stage. It was an interesting run for, say, a Doncaster last time. I thought it would show up there for sure. Didn't, and then shows up here off a few weeks break and up in distance. It was very strange that it was favourite, but very, very keen in the run. J-Mac basically said he was just too aggressive to run a mile, to run 2,000, and then he tried to go to the outside fence on it. So it is what it is. Goldman runs second. Winner is back here. He's a shocker. He's outside of it. Pretty good effort. He's a shocker, but I do think it likes these conditions. Bois d'Argent runs fourth. Renaissance Woman tracked through like the winner. I just don't think she runs 2,000 metres out, and I doubt that heavy track really helped her.
Last of all, at least a dozen off the lead. Yonsei leads to the far part of the track by a length and a half. Almania clears second, and then the line of three. Goldman on the
No, I definitely don't think Goldman's a sit sprinter. Not that it was a sit sprint race. They've gone very fast, so I think Goldman's run is very good. But once again, you just got to be wary that winner fence, fifth horse fence. Sorry, second horse winner fence-a-thon. Just it will be very interesting going forward how big an advantage fencing run was here.
Further back in the race, then to Renaissance Woman, Unspoken, Navajo Peak, 3 wide. Further back to Bold Mac, he's a shot.
And Nash just must have been pissing himself when everyone left the fence. So he doesn't go around a horse. Even Yonsei rolls off. Everything rolls. J-Mac out here. Don't know what that is. Bit of a brain explosion. But I agree with Davek. At this stage, I thought Goldman was home, and this horse just sprouts up the inside, and just a super dominant win. As you sort of said, Renaissance Woman presented to be very hard to beat in the race, and then whether she knocked up or the conditions were against, I think she's a miler. He's a shocker. He's just a tough, wet tracking battler who was a very good run in this race, and if it gets conditions similar to this, will be very hard to beat. Goldman was only first up, so I think he's back. He'll end up in some decent races up here over the Carnival in Queensland and run very, very well. So will Weta. His record up. He's obviously incredible already. I think he won 2 Doomben Cups, 1 at Eagle Farm, 1 at Doomben. He'll be going for 3 of those. He'll be going for the Hollandale again, I'm sure, too.
That's a big odds to win this. 1 by 2 to Goldman. He's a shocker, got up for third. Then Bois d'Argent.
So, yeah, I think, all first 4 across the line are going well. 5th across the line, I think, needs to go back in trip. And, complete forgive for this horse, New Energy, but I'm not sure what he is at this stage. You can't be negative on Huerta. Like, it was not well set up. It was only second up there. It did get a strong tempo to suit it in the rail or whatever, so I wouldn't be getting carried away with the win. It's also a horse that has mixed its form in recent times, but I'm not going to be knocking the horse. I think Goldman's a horse with more upside, especially into this preparation. He was Goldman. He was a short price favourite. It and White Marlin's wheels fell off. All right, another race that's Champagne Stakes. It's just nothing. Like, this is just nothing. They walk. They come home in decent time. Let's see if I've missed anything here. Front page. Failed to handle the conditions. Cinnamon, when questioned about the riding of the straight, the last 200 of the vagaries and the gelding, he stated that 3 wide is mount 1 out of 5 lane. That's it. Bois Chant. Rider used the whip 9 times to find 300. No abnormalities there. Almania. Disease down over the final 200. Did work hard in the run. He's a shocker to be ridden more forward. Blah, blah, blah. Lay on the straight in the head going. Okay, so there's nothing out of both of these races. So they walk here. Basically, nothing happens. McDonald's drag the horse out, and you know, as I sort of said in that other race, I'm not big on when horses get dragged out, but at least he sort of had a plan here to get near that rail, and I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt that he knew that his horse had the better sort of staying credentials, so he had to turn a foot in the conditions, which he'd shown last week, not these conditions, but off on soft ground. He sort of played the percentages rather than thinking that if I get caught wide here and have to work, it looks like a death sentence. Smaller field, I'm going to try and get near that rail as quick as I can and back my horse of just having the turn of foot to overcome the position, which is why I'm not praising the ride, but I'm defending it as opposed to the ride on It's a Wonder, which is very different. Field size, everything, 2-year-olds. You know, it's like, this is like a staying race. So if your horse has got that fitness edge, it's just such a big advantage that you can be a little bit conservative early because you think you've got that much up your sleeve, and rather than, you know, blowing the horse's head off trying to jab forward and end up 3 wide outside him or something like that. They're going so slow here. He somehow ends up on the back of Manal in a minute, which is, you know, probably the spot that he would have loved to have been on no matter what the conditions. Sort of slides through on the back of Manal. Too strong late. I think he probably erred on linebacker, going too slow outside the leader. He may have been able to push the tempo a little bit earlier, but I think the horse got keen and they just went so slow that it probably took away his advantage of position in run over broadsiding. He's a very, very, very interesting horse. Next preparation, linebacker. He's got huge upside. Complete forgive Manal. Just complete forgive. Had a decent enough run, but just got tired and bogged down, and she's had a long prep and done a job. This race is very unlikely to produce a horse that runs again this preparation, you would imagine. So, you know, all these horses, we hope they come back as 3-year-olds and run well. Fearless has now got a Group 1 placing, and you would be surprised if that's ever back up again. And he'll probably stand at stud off the back of that for 20 grand, and you just say too good. I don't remember much about Goldman. Sorry, just backtracking here. Daniel Robinson asking if Goldman's last prep was ever explained. Not that I'm aware of. Just wasn't right. Yeah, you know, the winner had a sense of timing, which is always good coming into this race. A horse that's got a decent setup, and you know, we talked about it last Monday that soft run mile is just such an ideal prep on the 7-day back up into a testing mile in the Champagne, whereas the other horses were coming off 1400s, and that was probably the difference at the end of the day. You know, really well trained, thought out. Preparation. The horse continued to improve all prep. He's a really nice horse, and I hope he comes back and progresses as a 3-year-old. Lucky last. God bless this horse. Did it win by act of God? I don't think so. I think she was the best horse in the race given the conditions. I don't think the ride was anything special, and she was just toughest late. The whole race is a joke, isn't it, really? Like, I think Mark Zara, the interviews, I'll see if I can find them. They're pretty funny. Where is it? Sky Racing. What race was this? This is the all-aged. Let's see what this says. Nope. Why can't I search for Sky Racing? That's got Sky Racing. That's Sky Racing. Hey, you, all aged. What do they say? What do they call it? The comments were too good. Sorry for the mess around. You know, a polished streamer would have this sort of thing ready to go, but they were too good not to hear. Well, here we go. Finally found it.
Off the bridle, quick and well, thought we were the winner, but he just felt it late and that mare was a bit strong on the line.
Private Eye, James?
He was brave. He was in a foreign position out there, but he stuck to his guns well.
Ryan Maloney, Sunshine in Paris?
Look, she tried her heart out. She's in the right spot. She just didn't get through the conditions.
Bandersnatch, Dylan?
Yeah, things didn't go plan for him, but he tried very hard.
Rachel, Chain of Lightning?
She's very tough, but even that track was too extreme for her.
Nash, Espiona?
Yeah, look, she can normally handle the conditions, but they'll be under.
Buffalo River, Tim?
Yeah, he's a horse that likes to dominate in his races and just never got the opportunity to do that today.
Jamie Carr, Southport Tycoon?
I could say he doesn't go on a heavy track, but that's next level heavy. He just hated it from the word go.
NCAP, Tyler?
Have a look at
I
that.
see a thing, so I can't imagine what he was seeing, but he's tried his guts out, just didn't handle the track.
Bonus Notches, Mark Zara?
Yeah, good.
His Invincible.
Mark Zara, too good.
Yeah, I felt bad for her. She was really hating the going and right in amongst it, so hopefully she pulls up right.
Tommy Berry, Airman?
Yeah, I just had to look after him.
So yeah, you can see it. Like it was a complete joke by this stage from the riders' comments. So the race is a bit of a joke. We'll have a look at it just because. God bless the horse.
What a great betting race it is. The lights on, we're all set.
Yeah, Zara was awesome runner. He's like, yeah, good. Well, they reckon that Nash had two of the full like those round visors. He had two of those on and goggles, I think he had two of those on and two goggles, and he got rid of both by early in the race. Like you can probably watch him, and he gets rid of him. He's like he said, he just never could see a thing at any stage. Must be scary.
Then Chain of Lightning, Sunshine in Paris, Bandersnatch out wide, then Magic Time, Tis Invincible. Further back to Buffalo River, then came in Cap Southport Tycoon, and right back to last now is Espiona, and second.
You've had a sick day, pay the punters. I'm very. Yeah, I was. I wasn't happy in the run here because I wanted Magic Time to be probably where Amenable is. Ideally, the one that sort of upset things, the upsetter was Private Eye, and it was probably a great ride from McDonald because otherwise it would have been back here somewhere copping backwash. It was probably one of the rides of the day on Private Eye because they absolutely walk. They don't. They go slow and they come home slower, but he certainly hasn't had to work hard, and that's why you can see sort of Amenable kicked on very well. The winners come from here and probably come the widest and sustained a run better than anyone else on the day, but there's no merit in the time or the sections late. So you've obviously got to factor in the track deteriorating in that, but it also makes sense as well that she was able to run them down because there's no merit in the time either. Otherwise, her win would have been ridiculous. But yeah, winner, second horse, third horse, fourth horse. Bandersnatch absolutely flying. Not sure how much this will take out of him. Chain of Lightning in here behind Amenable. Espiona backing on the inside. One of the few horses to run on. And all of these horses knock up. NCAP, Airman. Complete forgives. So I don't know what they'll do with Magic Time and Sunshine in Paris. Amenable's only third up here, so he can probably race on. I don't know what they'll do with Private Eye. Will they freshen him up or just save him and put him away for the spring now? Yeah, I think the best horse won the race. You know, this horse sat up outside the leader, but the tempo's there. This horse has sort of sat back in the backwash, which not many horses could do. Came wide and overcame, you know, that margin and won running away to a certain degree. Sunshine in Paris sort of battle away. And SBO and well beaten back towards the inside there. So it's hard to make a case for anything else in the race. From a review perspective or trying to find horses to follow going forward, I'm not sure what these runners will do, whether they'll just pack up and wait for the spring. I would with Magic Time, personally. But if she shows up in Brisbane, I think she'd knock up winning a race like the Tats Tiara or something like that. So maybe that's on their mind. Amenable, going well, can come up to Brisbane and race well. His racing pattern certainly suits racing up here. Private Eye, whatever, I'm not really sure what they'll do with him, but he's always dangerous, obvious. Sunshine in Paris is another horse that would be suited in a Tats Tiara, so. I'm told that Bonus Notches is going to Kieran Ma. That'll be interesting. He's had just a complete forgive prep. And even half of last prep was pretty average. So that's the meeting. There were a couple of horses to follow there, I thought. But, you know, the whole... Yeah, I don't think the owners are happy. M. Smith's under the pump, that's for sure. He's trained a couple of winners in the last week or so, but struggling. Yeah, that's the meeting. Just be very, very careful with all runners out of this meeting, especially in the next 2 weeks, backing up off a meeting like this. Even things like what they're talking about, swallowing mud, it can get into their lungs and take a good few weeks to get out. And sometimes it doesn't come out until they're put under race pressure, you know, like it's like us, say you go for a run, you clean a lot of the crap that's in you out when you put yourself back under pressure, and it's not until that surfaces, especially with horses, because they can't talk, that a lot of the crap that's in there comes out. So that's why I love to see sort of clean out trials and things between runs from these sort of preparation, these sort of race meetings, because you get to at least have a look at the horse. It's close as we get to see to race pressure without race pressure. And it gives us a bit of an insight to how they've come through the run. Whereas if they just show up, there's always that question mark in the back of my mind that there may be an underlying, you know, fatigue, or if they've raced back in the pack, they may have, you know, eaten a lot of crap and who knows what. It's all about stage of prep and everything like that. It's just sort of every horse is different. Every situation's different. You've got to sort of weigh them up and use your experience to assess each individual situation. But you know, like as I said, sort of 7 to 14 days off this preparation, I'd be really highly wary of. And you know, any horse that's sort of raced back in the pack and been subject to a lot of mud in the face and whatever is definitely a detrimental situation. All right, this week's races, we'll have a look at that quickly, and then I'll answer a few questions, because even though I've carved that out probably longer than I needed to. What's going on here? Why have we got no futures races? Seriously? Seriously? Oh. Futures. Here we go. What have we got? Queen of the South, Australasian Oaks, Sangster the Archer on Sunday. Not going to go that hard. I'll have a quick look at these races. If I won't look at that race. There's nothing there unless anyone is interested in a horse in particular in the Queen of the South the Queen of the South Stakes. Bit of a race that nothing stands out for me there. Yeah, I'll stream through I'll keep it going. Yeah, he's like $6 there a week or so ago, straight acer. It looked a decent price, but I have had a good look at that race, and I'm a bit obsessed with Barb Joseph's horse, but I thought it was the Clear Danger. I think it was like $9. We'll have a look at what price is it? Super helpful, $15 each way. I think if you go back and look at its form, I think it's the Clear Danger. So I'd be more interested in $15 each way than straight acer. I do think straight acer will be very hard to beat, but $15 each way, super helpful's very attractive for mine. Tobin Bronze. No. Showdown. Bob Steele. No. Australasian Oaks. Into $4.60 favourite. So they went up $8. Coachello. I thought it was clearly the horse to beat. We've talked about it quite a bit. It's coming out of that Autumn Angel, is it called? And good thing of John O'Shea's horse and Kenyatta. They're all coming out of that race. When J-Mac sort of declared he was going down there to ride it, I thought this horse would come up favourite, and they put up $8. So it's come and gone, unfortunately. I think it was $6 this afternoon, so it's just continuing to firm. It doesn't surprise me. Winds of Song's the obvious danger. This is the horse that Gay Waterhouse has got over from New Zealand. Trialled okay the other day. I think it didn't wear blinkers, and it normally does. So it's got a few tricks up its sleeve there. Maybe trialled a little bit better than it looked visually. It's an interesting runner. It looks like a very one-pace type that'll keep coming. I thought they were the clear to the top two, but I think Cancello's got a lot of upside and coming out of the right race. I think it'll run very, very well. Where's the Sangster? Is the field there? I'll have a look. That's the Country Cup Sports, right? Which horse? Yeah, super helpful. Yeah, it was really good to us that day. It won at 50s or 60s or 70s or something the day Hippo won on it. We found it, and then it won it down at Campbell with Randy on it. It's been good to us, that horse. He's won like 10 or 11 races. He's a very, very honest horse that continues to run well. I'd tell you to have a look at it. Actually, I'll bring it up in a sec. Have a look at the Sangster, because these races don't look too exciting to me. I do think Coachello's very hard to beat here, but $4.60 is probably about right. It's definitely not worth taking any sort of early stance there now when we can wait for barrier draws and things like that. I'll show you what I like about Super Helpful. It's just a horse that when things line up for him, he can improve, and it's very easy to see when he's going well because he overcomes average ride. So first up at Canberra, 1,400 metres. That's certainly as far as this horse wants first up. I think 1,400's as far as he wants. So for me, third up, 15 back to 13. He's going to be strong, 600 metres straight at Rockhampton, really good. He's got sort of ratings that are a little bit higher than where he's gone this prep, but he's coming out of that Another Will race, which is that Bandersnatch form. And if you watch his run here, I thought it was really good. He can go forward. He's won many races going forward, and that's what I mean. If he draws a gate in the Archer and say Straight Acer draws a little bit awkwardly, he could certainly be very close to him in the run. So he's in the green here. I think he's at Neil Werrett's colours. Max Whitby's colours, maybe? Max Whitby's colours? Not sure. But yeah, he's back here in the white blinkers, inside sort of the Aqua Source here. Wide no cover. So this race, they don't go a fast gallop. They go a sort of controlled speed and sprint home. And, this horse did start close enough to favourite, or in the Doncaster off the back of this, I think it did start favourite, Another Will. Bandersnatch has run really well in the all-age stakes. So this form, to me, is exceptional going to an Archer. Straight Ace is coming out of a second in the midway, which was good, and Territory Express, I'm surprised it's not in the Archer, to be honest. But, anyway, this horse is covered back in the middle here. and never really looks comfortable to me, and is only second up, as I said, 1,500, so I don't think it had a great setup. These are proper horses. Sort of a more victorious. So here he is in the middle here. He sort of gets chopped out here. And he's a momentum horse for mine. He's not a horse that can quicken off a dime. He's a horse that really can build and build and build. And you can see here he's just sort of in a bit of trouble and loses his way. And then through the line he's really good. So this is him here. So I think he only just got going through the line there. And you sort of see through the line he's come back and beaten horses like Rustic Steel and what have you. So they've had their chance to build the momentum where he's sort of getting taken backwards, and then through the line he's coming again and he's as strong as them, if not a little bit stronger, which we see through the line. So yeah, I think back to 1,300, if he draws a gate, he'll run an enormous run. Like he's just dead set should be second favourite. Thoughts on Warmonger in the Chairman's? I'll have a look at the horse. How far's the Chairman's? Chairman's usually scary. They're like 2,500 metres. So 2,000. Looks like first up was given a bit of a barrier trial, fast run race. Did its best work when it got to sort of 15, then improved to 1,800 metres last prep, just sort of looking what it did there, then ran on, peaked and tipped out. So, yeah, okay. And then, look at this run.
Set in the Port Adelaide
Guineas,
3-round listed race. Shinjuku, a late scratching. They're racing. Warrior to Warrior had no speed.
I'm assuming it's in the OTI colours.
Aerosol was off. Warrior to Warrior's now improved sharply. They're gracious. 2 Bold Soul and Shinjuku was a late scratching at the gates. 9 or 10 lengths spans the head right down on the chest. Leads by in the field. On the scent, 1 and a half here. Sectional there when he applied man. Next one gaunt away. Further back on the scent, Voracious and Bonnered here.
I think I know this horse. I think I really liked this horse last prep.
Rise at Dawn is under hard riding already. Then Elder Warrior in the green jackets travelling, just needs luck. Then Saban on the scent, Voracious. Warmongers taking all the shortcuts and Bold Soul the last one. They're homeward bound here. 300 left to run in the Port Adelaide Guineas. Aerosol in front. Warmonger got all the inside runs. Peels out to give chase. Then came
He's got, for what was looked a very steady ride there, it got the best run through you've ever seen in your life. He's a sneaky good horse, the winner.
Warmonger comes again. Aerosol, Warmonger, Aerosol, Warmonger, Aerosol has just clung. With a button in hand. Other lines, a compact, and it's Van Swing is getting in behind, and then followed by Trajuice back outside part. They're across line, both from back of Fairs, poking well a chance.
We got a better ride second up than he got first up. Yeah, the horse. Well, that makes this run even better because it basically didn't have a run first up. The only little neg that he would be still a run behind or half a run behind. I think he'll peak fourth up at sort of 2,000 metres again, considering he sort of did miss that run first up basically. Yeah, very, very interesting horse that should improve and should run very, very well. And I'm assuming he's very close to favourite. Is he not? Did I kill the... What did I do with the sports bet thing? Why has no one got all these fixed odds for all these races out? What's going on? What world are we living in? So the Sangster, was it there or did I miss it? The Chairman's or whatever it's called. Is that it? No, that's Hong Kong. So I don't know what the market is there, but that horse will run very, very well. Looked at it. The Sangster's a bit of a nightmare. Estrella, again, I'm a huge fan of, have been since day one with this horse. Very raw, green horse. It just keeps lifting the bar, and she'll run very well, but $2.80 in a Sangster, holy cow. IME, Real Professional, Benedetta going well, Stretton Angel going well, Zapateo. Wasn't a fluke last start, but certainly had, I think, everything possible go its way. It was in the right place at the right time, and the effort was okay, but not a horse I could really find. This horse is interesting. I thought it just had a barrier trial, but 1,200 second up. Weird. Learning to Fly, huge fan, $18. It's a horse that certainly can appeal here, especially with some real flyers engaged. So like Hypothetical Estrella, they're going to go quick. Learning to Fly draws a gate. Very interesting horse. Belroy and Bella's not going to this race. It's going to Queensland. Any tips tonight? We're at to like betting tonight? No. Come on, we want 300% futures markets. Weather's what'll dictate for the Kenzo. Yeah, the only tip the only tip from early betting was I think Coachella will run well in the South Australian Oaks, but she's already been found. I definitely think that super helpful. It will be it will run very, very well on an each way basis in the Archer. All right, so I'll tackle a few of these questions or whatever we've got here. Staking, I don't love talk. I'll just talk about it generally because I don't really love giving huge advice on staking. Everyone's different. I'll say, like, from a personal perspective, like tying yourself down to it's different for everyone, right? And obviously, I've been around and doing it for a long time. The Archer's at Rocky. Yep. Been doing it for a long time. I would say that people that can manage their money, to me, have outperformed people that are decent judges and end up with more money than people that are decent judges in more situations. So I'd say that managing your money is nearly more important than having a good opinion. I would say that I'm a 100 times better judge I am of horses than I am of turning that into maximum monetary gain, especially these days with limited betting options. It makes it even more difficult, whereas before I could sort of flum situations where, smaller outlays, multis, things like that. It was much easier to get on. Quaddies, much more attractive options as well. They're not like they used to be, and that sort of hindered me, I would say. And, even coming up with answers in a race, looking at a race, the best possible outcome to bet on is the key, right? Trying to find the easiest way to extract profit out of a race is probably what it's all about, right? And capitalizing and sucking that every last dollar out of it's the key. If you want to go back to basics, what's the easiest strategy? Like equal staking, backing a horse to win a certain amount, all those sorts of things. I would say that the most popular, and it makes sense to me, situation is backing a horse to win a certain amount based on price. Then the argument is, do you back it off the market's price? So what that is, okay, I'm going to back every horse to win $100. And then so what people say then is, if it's 20 to 1, you have $5 on it. If it's even money, you have $100 on it. That doesn't sit well with me. Number one, because I'd rather do the opposite. But that's based on the market's price. There's obviously also situations where you can bet based on what your edge you believe is over the market. So, for argument's sake, if you've got it marked $2.50 and it's $4, you're going to have X on it. If it's $2.50 and it's $5, you're going to have more on it based on your overlay. That's really aggressive, and you have to be very good at what you're doing to otherwise you can go broke very quickly. I'm chopping and changing a little bit here, and it's probably easier with examples. But what I'm getting at is I would much prefer, especially if you think your opinion's worthy of it and you're any good at the game, or you're betting off other people's opinions that you respect and you think they're good at the game, you're betting off whatever price they're supplying you with as the basis of how much you have on it. So for argument's sake, we're just saying the horse is $20, and if you're going to back it to win 100 the way most people suggest, you have $5 on it. If it's 20 to 1, the market's 21, but you've got it $5, you've got it marked $5, you're now having $20 on it as opposed to 5. So you're really backing it to win 400 in real terms, but off your own prices, you're still backing it to win 100. And to me, that's the most pure way to do things on a race-to-race basis. If you've got to be betting off your own prices, not the market. If you want to blend it a little bit, so somewhere in between, a lot of people do that. A lot of people buy a lot of people's markets, whether it's mine, Mark Lambourne, someone like that, and then they blend it with the late, Betfair prices or whatever. So they might say, John's got it evens, Betfair says $3, so we're going to have it $2.50. Or if they think my markets are worth more opinion than Betfair or whatever, they might have it $2.20. Or you don't have to have it equal. There's plenty of ways to come to prices that blend the market's opinion in with whoever you're dealing with, or even if it's your own, if you don't trust yourself fully. I don't think there's any true answer. To me, because I like to bet more sparingly than most, and I think I know the races and horses and markets and try and understand situations a little bit more in depth, which does limit me. I can't bet in as many races. But when situations present themselves, I'm not going to tie myself to having, a maximum outlay of 1% off whatever it is. And I'm not going to, back it to win $100 or $1,000. If there's a situation arises where, there's one or more horses in the race that I've been waiting to appear because I don't like them. They were flattered last start. There's a horse with upside and hidden merit that's in the race that I want to back. Situation, like my horse is going to go to the front, and it looks like the meeting will set up where it's going to get control of the race and the track and conditions of the day will suit it also. So it basically ticks every box is what I'm saying. Plus you've got negatives towards others in the race. I'm going to keep betting till my ass bleeds. I really am. If the situation presents itself, and it doesn't happen often, but I'm going to do it, and I'm going to feel good about myself, win, lose or draw in that situation. So to me, and that's probably only learnt over the test of time. I think there are situations arise where you can validate over betting from a statistician or data person's standpoint, but they tend to spread their money a lot over a lot of markets and turn over a lot more money than I do. So I'm not going to knock them for the way they tackle races, and it's all about conservation of the bank and turning money over, whereas I'm more about picking and choosing my spots. Very different when I'm supplying information to subscribers and things like that, because I've got to be wary of what the market can absorb as well. So I can't give out too many high confidence bets because the market just tumbles, and then maybe half a dozen people get their bets on, the rest don't. So it's just not sustainable that way. So I've got to think about things like that as well, just because of the way the market is. And it's not because I'm any genius. It's because if 10 people back the same horse, it just disappears. The price and country and provincial racing especially, it just doesn't. So staking to me is very personal. If you want to contact me to talk about it more, I certainly can. I can point you in the direction of some decent literature and things like that. But I just find that it's very personal. It's very much the way you bet, the way you do form. If you're a data person that spreads your money wider and you like betting into a lot of markets and turning a lot of money over, then betting to win a certain amount off the market price may be the best way, because it's the most conservative option. The more you know about the horses and market, the more you're confident you do have an edge, the more likely you are to go my way and use your price to bet to win a set amount to gain more consistency. But I do suggest that there is always situations arise, special circumstances where you're aware of that the moons align and you've got to be in a position to have a shot at the title, I believe. Kelly's very dangerous, but again, if you're confident you've got an edge over a particular part of the market, and always a watered down percentage of Kelly's very, very aggressive. Kelly criterion, anyone wants to look it up, it's a little bit complex, but it's just basically based on your edge over the market edge. The more that your edge is, the more aggressive you are, but it can be highly aggressive. We're like talking, huge percentage of your bank on any one bet, and that's always dangerous. So that's an interesting one. So if you were betting early and it's 240 and you think it starts 180, you bet to win at 180. No, you bet to win at what the price is currently, according to the way most people think about it. I bet off my price. So if I've priced at 180 and it's 240 currently, I back it like it's 180. If you think a horse is going to firm, I always suggest that you have more than what you want to have on it, because you can always lay the horse back then and increase your actual odds. So for argument's sake, you lay a horse at, you have 2,000 on a horse at $2, but you only want 1,000 on it. It comes into 170, you lay it back, you've now got whatever it is, $2.30, something like that. Maybe a bit over. Pulling things out of my ass here at 7 o'clock at night on a Monday night, but you can get the gist of it. If you're confident the horse is going to lay, you're going to be able to lay it a lot shorter. You're best to have more on it and lay it back. So now you're increasing your odds naturally and lowering your exposure at the same time. Is that why you don't send out as many units bets as I used to? To a certain degree, yes, and there's a lot of reasons why I don't send out as many bets. It's certainly not the coverage of less races or anything like that. The opportunities early, because we're betting into sort of 130 plus early, difficult to find any sort of early edge. The volatility of the market is massive. It's, let's say, and Saturdays, you've got to be wary. You can bet heavier on Saturdays, but then you can't get it back. If you're having, 2, 3, 4, 500 on things on a Saturday, and I'm just using a number off the top of my head, and you can't get that money on a Sunday or a Monday or a Tuesday on the same horses, you've got the same opinion of, you've got rocks in your head to be over betting on a Saturday, because, if you've got a horse marked $4 and it's $5 on a Saturday, you've got to have the same bet on it as you do on Sunday on the $4 to $5 chance. And the market's dictating that you've got to be a little bit more conservative due to the volatility of things. Yeah, I think that's smart what you're saying there. You treat it as the price you think it should be. I think that's the best way to do things. We can talk about that more in particular. If anyone's got any questions, just never be scared to email me, john@racingwatch or info@racingwatch.com.au. I think it's certainly my biggest weakness is staking, and I'm probably on the conservative side. I've definitely been on the other side of that. I've never got myself in trouble or overextended. I've never had a credit bet in my life, really. So I've always been pretty good in that fashion, that I haven't overextended or put myself in at risk. But certainly since kids and things have come along, I've definitely gone more down the conservative route, but there's other reasons for it, and a lot of that's the market as well. Things have changed. It's harder to get set. It's harder to, you can't tell people to have certain bets because they're just not available anymore. It's very difficult. If it was 10 years ago, it's very different. Much easier to turn money over. Much easier to find edges in the market when it's 115% in the morning as opposed to 130. So there's a lot of changes. Things pushing late's not easy either, because the markets again are volatile. Maybe something for discussion if Monday review is over the ideas how we play the next season with expected Sydney racing quality dropping off. Okay, I'll read this properly. Maybe something for discussion if Monday review is over all idea of how we play the next season with suspected Sydney racing quality dropping and focus moving to Queensland. How to play Queensland. I'm assuming that's moving into the Queensland Carnival off the back of the Sydney Carnival finishing. How to play Sydney through this period, especially for those that don't trust like betting Queensland. I feel quality horses run truer to form and can trust the lesser being reliable enough to bet on. I can't trust the lesser being reliable enough to bet on. Could go on, but guess you get the idea. Queensland season historically horrible ROI for me, so I stay away. Just ideas for discussion. That's all. Get well, would you? Yeah, so that basically the question is, do you bet through Sydney in the off season? So through winter, yes. Do you bet everywhere, all the time? Yes. Not when I'm saying everywhere that I cover. Always looking for opportunities. Doesn't matter what time of year it is. Doesn't matter the quality of horses. Things always pop up. Do I follow horses up to Queensland, and would I prefer to bet on the higher quality races in Queensland during this time? Absolutely. The weather's normally better up here too. The tracks are normally in good shape. We're copping a lot of wet weather at the moment, so that's a bit of a nightmare. But like you do get the carnival horses sort of that you can see being set for this. I actually love this carnival. It's certainly, the sort of J. Atkins, Queensland Derby, Stradbrokes. There's a lot of great races that horses are getting ready and progressing towards now. So I find this carnival great. I'll definitely be targeting it. I'll definitely cover it. I'll definitely do the streams throughout the Brisbane Carnival and try and cover things in as much depth as I can. I'll probably move the focus towards Queensland over Sydney. But, obviously always got Sydney in the forefront of everything I do anyway. So, fault's killing any movement. That's 100% true. Always Hong Kong. Yeah, well, there is the drama with Hong Kong is you're betting into huge market percentages all the time. And if you're betting tote and things like that, you can get commissions and stuff, but I just find the racing over there pretty tiresome, to be honest. I struggle to get into it, but I've not dedicated myself to it ever at any stage in my life. I would imagine this was sold months ago. Just checking if there's any other questions or anything I missed. Opinion on Kembla Race 6 reluctance. I'll have a look at that. So this is a race from Saturday. Apparently this horse was... When was it? The Mitch Friedman, Michael Friedman horse. And what was it? $260 out to $12. Is that correct? So betting flux $460 out to $14. So close enough, and obviously was probably shorter early. Coming off a 900-metre win at Goulburn in poor time, poor rating, 50 days between runs with no trial. I can see why it was soft in betting. Obviously, that's an extreme drift. We talked about this race on the stream that Turbulent was not really suited to 1,000 metres, but was probably the most quality horse in the race. Monty Kate had things against it. Flight Crew had run well, fresh, and probably was the default horse and had the draw the way the track was. Turbulent was drawn inside, which was not ideal. Monty Kate was drawn inside, which was not ideal. So what I would say, just looking at this, was that a syndicate or someone has got hold of it, and that the 50 days between runs, a pretty average race that it came out of at Goulburn. 900 metres is always a bit of a scary distance too. Sometimes the form doesn't carry up. It only ever had 900 metre runs. There's a lot of queries against this. Scratched 3 times between now and this run, and it was just said no trial. So I would say, without watching the replay, which I'll do, there was an overreaction. Plus, this horse has had beyond every chance and only just failed, but still failed. So that's what I'd say before I watched the replay. I'd say it probably should have been a $5, $6, $7 chance, something like that. And so it's led and controlled in a very slow tempo for a 1,000-metre race, and stayed out towards the right part of the track. So I would say at this point, kind of the way it looked on paper pre-race is what's happened here. This horse has had an absolute dream run, gets to the right part of the track. Flight Crew comes down the outside here. I'm assuming this is Flight Crew in these weird colours.
now. She's a bad girl rolled through, took a narrow lead from
Turbulence, just a little bit too one pace to overcome the extremely slow tempo. She's a Bad Girl's only just a horse, so it's a good line. Monty Kate back towards the absolute worst part. So watching this race, sort of reviewing it, basically. Mile horse, 1,400 metre horse that's run into a very, very slow tempo here. Not being given a bad ride, got to the right part of the track. Flight Crew gets over the top of the late, stable flying. And the winners, the leaders basically had every conceivable possible chance and just got run down late. So repricing the race, I'd probably say this horse probably should have been $5 or $6. The right horse probably won. This horse, the only horse with upside, complete forgive. But I'd say the market was correct in letting it drift. They overdid it heavily. But not just a horse. Early price was wrong. Closing price was wrong. Somewhere in between was right. Is the answer to that question. Can we get a good look at the two Adelaide Group 1s? Well, I had a decent look at them. It's hard, especially the Sangstro. You really want to see the barrier draws there. I just don't think there's any horse that's dominant. Certainly keen to see what draw and rider Learning to Fly comes up with. Anything else? I understand getting out to 8s, maybe 30s. Yeah, it's just wrong. Just wrong. You get into the Warrnambool Carnival at all? I don't at all. I think it's an absolute diabolical carnival. People love it. I do love that trainers set their horses for the meeting. And if you've got a bit of intuition, you go back and watch replays, whatever, you can see that horses have sort of been getting ready for this carnival. And I love that. I love that angle. But, yeah, it's too much for me. The track's a nightmare. Who's the next King Colorado? It was Magic Time. You can piss all money around nowadays, and only a few options left. Drifted that heavily. Yeah, it is a joke, right? It's basically a joke that the market is dictated by Betfair, bots, and some decent sized players, but there's just not the depth of the market there was a while ago. And what that stops is that if anyone with a strong opinion, there's just an endless drift to a horse, and there's no one on the other side opposing. So there's no stopgap there, like the things can just continue to drift, and there's nothing there to stop them. Whereas back in the day, say we're going to use Jolko as an example, he would eventually he'd just step in, and once that horse got to say $6, $7, $8, whatever it is, he'd just keep betting. He'd just keep taking the price. So it would never go past that point. Whereas now it can go anywhere. Yeah, the markets are a joke, but there was a horse yesterday which we were on the right side of at Muswellbrook. Same thing. So you had this is actually, I'll talk about those two things. Everyone probably knows about it, but we'll talk about them anyway. So this is number one. This was yesterday at Muswellbrook, first race, and I am a huge Aaron Bullock fan. I used to manage him. One of the better riders, consistency-wise, you'll ever find. He stays in his lane for the most part in the country provincial of New South Wales and does an incredible job. Everyone knows his weight's the thing that's most against him. 20 minutes before this race, the horse has got 58.5. The stewards come out with a tweet saying Mr. Bullock has been allowed to ride overweight. They don't even say how much. I bloody replied. Then they came back with saying it was half kilo over. So 20 minutes before the race, $1.28 chance at SPs. I think it was like $1.45 at the time. Is now carrying an extra half kilo than what is shown in the race book. No one knows about it unless they're on Twitter. It's not displayed on any Racing New South Wales, Racing Australia, anywhere. And the horse ends up starting at $1.28 and gets beat a nostril. Would that extra half a kilo have costed the race? Should punters be filthy? I think so. I'm not a big weights and measures fan, and as I said, I'm a Bullock fan, but it's not his fault that they've allowed him to do it. It is his fault that he couldn't ride the weight to a certain degree, but he's not the one that controls whether he's allowed to ride in the race or not. And the winner is an example of one that just drifted ridiculously. Like, I think I sent out something saying it was, let's have a look. I think I said it like 380 was acceptable, something like that. And yeah, I think I said 380 was acceptable, something like that, and it ended up getting to like 750. I think the totes paid 760. And so it's an example of how weak the market is. The favourite comes into 128, whether it's the corporates firming it or a syndicate or what, I'm not really sure. Insanity either way. And they're either making it firm to bet around it, totes, things like that, or getting clients to bet with them. I'm not sure either way. And the winner, who had, solid form, there was nothing else in the race that had any upside. So this horse couldn't drift too much. Like I'm not saying that my opinion was exceptional. I'm saying that this horse, even if it got beat, should have been $5 tops, and they're betting, or $4 tops, and then they're betting $7, $8 on Betfair. It doesn't make sense. The market's just lost the plot. There's no depth to it, and you have to have the sort of gumption to bet to your opinion a lot of the time, if it makes sense. There's sometimes your horse first up off an injury, something, and you've got to be very worried when the market says no. Maybe that horse in the first race at Brisbane on Saturday is a good example of that. What's its name? Sprinter. It was like $2.40 to $5 or something in the last 10 minutes of betting. Those sort of situations, you've got to be scared. You've got to be worried that the market knows something. So, whereas this one, not. Yeah, Barassi, right? So, Barassi, that's scary. This one, not so much. A horse that's having its third start, 2 runs where it's just hit the line beautifully, both starts up in distance. It was no good thing, but it had to be firm in the market, and it just wasn't. So, yeah, that's a long-winded answer to that question. The other one was the Tuncurry race, which is just laughable. A 1,300-metre race where they ran it over a 1,200-metre race. So this is race 1.
Greg Wallace, our starter, ready to release.
This is race 1 over 1,300. So there's the hut and the windmill and the pile of wood chips. And most importantly, the 1,200-metre post, right? So, correct, 1,300. Then you've got a set of jockeys who've gone out in it. And I love it now. They've changed it to 1,300 in the form guide. That was their answer, to change it to 1,300. So this is a 1,200-metre race where there's 10 jockeys, barrier staff, starters, stewards. There's the tent. There's the windmill. There's the wood chips. And the 1,200-metre post. So, yeah, obviously, anyone who backed the winner was stupid. Would be stupid to give it up. King put it on Twitter pretty close, straight after correct weight, which makes sense. That they'd made a mistake. And they're saying that they didn't work it out until after the following race. Anyway. Pretty good one, huh? Well, that's it. Daz is right there. So they get a half kilo allowance too. So that horse that Bullock's ridden, he could basically ride it. He's declared at 59, but he could go to 59.4 or something like that and be passed. So Daz is actually correct. So what you're saying here, Daz, that you wouldn't know how often they ride 0.6 kilos over or 0.5, which is correct. They're allowed to ride up to half kilo over, and they know pretty much to the tick, like the tenth of a kilo, what they're going to ride at. So it is a big mistake. Is that just a mistake though? Well, it is a mistake, but it's a pretty bad one. And they declared correct weight. They didn't even realise the time was right. Like they've looked at the time and gone, oh, okay. And they like race 1 was ridiculously slowly run race, right? So race 1 was run at 5 lengths above average to the 600, and race 4 was run 10 lengths above standard fast. So there's 15 lengths difference between the 600. So the first 700 meters of the race. So that's enough for them to have camouflaged that they were different distances, which is just pretty bad effort, really. But it is what it is. It's pretty funny. I thought it was funny, especially considering we're all on the winner. So we weren't going to say anything. Well, that's what I mean. Like the jockeys are the ones that are just like, you serious? You know, when talking to the boys, they're like, you serious? Well, but who? It actually probably suited the winner, and the main danger in the betting was a horse that didn't want to run extra ground, so it was against it. It was yeah. We'll never know, will we? Really? Because I don't know what'll come of it. There's an inquiry or whatever, but we'll see what happens. With that, two funny things from the stewards this week. Not funny. I just think they're doing some weird stuff at the moment, and all we want is clean information, a fair crack. Horse to run over the right distance, know how the track conditions are. Bitch and moan a lot, but it's like people take things the wrong way. They say, you're bitching that it's a 5 when it's an 8. No, I just want to know what it is. I just want to know how much water was put on the track. I just want to know if they put water on the track. I want to know where they put it. I want to know if they've rolled certain parts of the track. I just want to know clean information so that we've got some hope of preparing for the races and betting on them. That's what we're here for. We don't really care what anyone does. We just want to know. Doesn't surprise me. Canberra race they put on incorrect 4th and just amended after. Yeah, I think someone again, a lot of these times they're getting heads up off Twitter. It's crazy, right? It just feels ridiculous, but the day and age, but it just feels like they're undermanned, or there's just there's a lot getting through to the keeper. I sort of joke that racing's never been cleaner, because we very rarely see a trainer or a positive swab or whatever. But as punters, we see a lot of things that are looking weird. Horses putting in exceptional performances that don't make a lot of sense. You're expecting things, sort of certain stables catching fire for short periods and then disappearing off the radar, and yet there's not a lot come of anything ever. Every now and then you see someone get a little fine or something, but there's not many people getting outed compared to, what I remember was quite consistently, people getting time and whatever. It just doesn't seem like much happens anymore. Yeah, they wouldn't know. I think Nico said something about staff at races. Oh, yeah, get understaffed? Yeah, or they're struggling to hold stewards or whatever. I think they don't even have, I don't think they're having issues holding vets and all sorts in New South Wales at the moment. There's a lot of turnover of staff across the board. So, it's not easy, but it's just annoying. Like, I can't see why, for argument's sake, and I put it on Twitter there a while ago, and I know New South Wales is a big place, Victoria's a big place, but you can have people in each area that are independent, or ideally you want it to be the race. So what my concern is, right, that course curators or whoever's in track managers, whatever you want to call them, are reluctant to say too much because maybe they're told to do things a certain way. You just want some sort of independent, straight up analysis of what's going on. I don't care if they're told to prepare tracks a certain way. Just tell us how you prepared them. I don't really care. And that's the problem. Everyone's like worried about this cloak and dagger of who's being told what and how to do things in these protocols or whatever. But we just want to know what the actual track is. Like, okay, it hasn't rained for 2 weeks. We expect a firm track, but they've been told to put 20 mil of rain on it, but we'll put 4 mil down because that sounds okay. And that's not really what's happened. And then it gets 1 mil in the day, and now we're dealing with an 8, and you've spent 5-6 hours getting a meeting set up thinking it's going to be a 4 logically. So like, I'd just love someone to be able to just spin around a track that's good at it. Say, listen, here's what the penetrometer is: 1 off, 4 off, 6 off, 8 off. This is what we think the track is, and here's a 2-minute report with our ideas and thoughts. Surely it's not that hard. Whether it's the course curator, if they're gutsy enough to do it, or if they need to have someone independent. Yeah, we don't care how the track's been prepared. We just need someone to walk it and tell us how it actually is. What do you think, 7 day or less backup theory? I like 7 days backup in most situations. Don't like it over and over again. Country provincial racing, you sort of get away with it a bit more because the level of horse is not as good. So having a horse super fit is a good advantage over average horses, but sort of the higher you go in grade, it's more about situational things again. So, a situation like the horse that won the size, broadsiding, that was a good one. And sometimes off a taxing run, coming up against horse, or coming back in distance of a taxing run, maybe a more challenging setup. But there's positives and negatives for 7 days. The 3 and 4 days one, again, it's again the sort of the lower the class. I think it's a little advantage. Is it overplayed these days? Maybe, but yeah, every sort of setup's individual for me. But I'm not a hard no, that's for sure. Racing of those in a way to rot the punters. Yeah, I don't understand why. I just don't understand why. It doesn't make sense to me. We are their audience. We pay for most of it, whether we're just punters or whether we're punters and owners or whether we're punters and owners and race goers that support the industry in various different ways. We are the people who support the industry. So why not help us out? Why not encourage us to turn over as much money as possible? Why not supply us with as many tools as possible? Why am I paying an absorbent amount of money for most people? I do it because it saves me time and obviously use it for my business as well. But why am I paying a big price for a database system that I'm showing you what does here to try and get clean information? Like I'm sitting here looking at these times from Saturday and I'm nearly sure they're going to be wrong. It's just a matter of how far out. You know, why am I having to pay premium to get clean information? And obviously there's more upside in it for me now because I'm happy to pay that price because everyone out there who's doing their best and thinks they're getting served up the right answers all the time really aren't. So, you know, it's a double-edged sword for somebody like me, but for punters in general, why would I not want to give them replays, access to different angles, access to photo finishes straight away? Why wouldn't I want to build their confidence in every way possible? Why would they not provide pictures of, you know, the horse has got equicast or something happened to its feet? Why are there not pictures on there? Which is, you know, a 1 second, you know, it might take a couple of hours of coding to build a database system and then a 1 second job for the trainer to take a photo on their iPhone, upload it. You know, like these sorts of little things that make big difference to punters and their confidence levels. Why aren't they all implemented? I don't know. How did you get into managing jockeys? But I basically used to play golf with a lot of them in Sydney. Decent friendships with jockeys, but never, you know, talk to them about their rides and stuff like that quite often, but more in a social setting. It sort of developed more. You know, they built up a trust and relationship with them, and they'd ask me more and more, you know, have you looked at this race? Where do you think I should be? Blah, 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 blah. And that sort of side of things developed more and more. Again, nothing, no formal arrangements, whatever. It's more of a friend thing. Happy to do it. Still am sort of that way with, you know, quite a few jockeys, trainers, whatever. Happy to share my opinion with them, love it or hate it. You know, I'm pretty good at talking shit, but I also don't pull any punches, which is, you know, what most of them want to hear. And if they don't, we don't tend to get along. So, you know, I'll give my opinion and we'll fight often, but most of the people that I get on with, trainers or jockeys, tomorrow's another day, and you know, you just try and be real, right, and give your honest opinion whether they're doing the right thing, wrong thing, best way to get the best out of their horse, where I think it should be placed. Not always going to agree, definitely not always going to be, you know, right, but that's what it's about. And that sort of developed into Josh was in a position with. Did you play at New South? Yeah, I wasn't a member there. I used to play there a bit with Bowman. And then Josh had an injury and wasn't happy with his manager. And Josh Parr was one of my better mates. And Timmy, they were was pretty good mates with both of them. And Josh sort of said, "Would you ever think about it?" And I'd never even heard of it. Didn't know it was a thing. Well, I probably had, but definitely hadn't considered an option. And he's like, "Well, I'm going to make a change. If you'd like to have a crack at it, you know, why not?" And I was like, "Well, okay, if you're going to make the change and I hate it or I'm going to butcher it and you're happy with me just to have a little crack at it and see how I go, yeah, well, why not?" And it basically started from there. Long Reef, that's where I was a member at forever. I was a member there since I was 12. Joshua, not too long ago. He's a good man, Josh. He doesn't live and breathe racing outside of racing, but he's got a very good natural racing mind, and he's a very, very good jockey. He's more about, you've got to keep him at peace, give him a bit of love and give him a bit of loyalty, and he'll give you everything. And, you know, sometimes he doesn't get that. His weight is a little bit tricky. He can only ride sort of 56 to keep his body healthy, and that sets him back a little bit. But, you know, Josh just thrives off loyalty, and that's what sort of Mark Newnham gave him, and that's probably when Josh did his best. Yeah, he can sometimes be a little bit too forward, especially with his opinions at times, but he doesn't cotton ball things, but he's very well spoken for the most part. A big family guy. So he's you know, family's first with him, which will never be any different. And yeah, they're all based sort of Central Coast, and that's why I doubt that he'll ever move. You can understand why. It's hard, you know, like it's hard. It's hard, and he just needs to find a home and really be part of the team, and that's what he does, and where he does his best work, and when he thrives, when he thinks he's got your loyalty, and you sort of reciprocate that loyalty, he just really does thrive, and he's great with track work. He's great, and he's happy to work with you on horses that he's not going to be riding if he knows that he's going to be in the prime position when he can ride them, or, you know, if that makes sense. Whereas if he's, you know, concerned that he's going to be shifted off this one and not get a start on that one, and, you know, it just doesn't work with Josh. And if he's sort of riding for a lot of stables and whatever, he's just not at his best. You know, you don't get the most out of him. You see that with a horse like Overpass. He knows he's going to be on it. He builds a relationship with the horse and trainer. He rides the horse with confidence. He rides it as well as anyone, pretty much, you know. You wouldn't swap him for many in those situations. But where he's sort of chopping and changing, he's on 2 for Snowden this week, he's on 1 for Gerald, he's on 1 for Billy Bob. You don't see the best of Josh. Anything else before I run away? Yeah, I think I probably am open, and everyone, again, they take it like you hate kids or whatever, but there's times and places and horses for claimers. I think they're doing a bad job, the industry itself, in finding suitable candidates and then really, you know, helping them to develop. And I think, you know, people just straight away go 3 kilos, what's the best option? And they don't really care, and they just throw them on over. You see how often I agree. To me, it doesn't make sense to put a less experienced light rider on a high weighted horse. Say, for argument's sake, it's got 61, comes down to 58 or 59 or whatever, and they're a 48, 49 kilo jockey. You know, even the lead bag is a huge offset. Like the saddle and weight in the saddle is a huge offset compared to natural weight, and it's sort of been proven by a lot smarter people than me. So, you know, you get your, you know, picking on sort of, yeah, Hippo's not that as heavy as Josh, but Josh, Hippo, Aaron Bullock, these sort of riders, and they're just worried about taking a kilo or whatever off their back, and often it's offset by strength and other things. It's a good question. Claiming when you don't need to, hate it, agree. So I'll get to that one. Far too many 2-3 kilos. I agree. And the problem is, just saying what Elliot said, there's far too many poor 2, 3, 4 kilo riders on horses. You get 2 or 3 or 4 of them in a race, and you get carnage in the race. So it's very hard to bet into the race with confidence. Again, that comes back to the way I sort of do things with the subscription service I run. Your confidence level drops, because whereas I sort of understand the positives and negatives of putting my own money on a horse and understanding that, you know, after 100 metres, this horse could get knocked over by four kids in the race, and I'm happy to deal with it. I have to be more conservative in my approach, because it looks terrible from an outsider looking in when, you know, these kids that really are kids and they're, they're entitled to be there, but 3 or 4 of them in a race together and they just don't seem to be developing as quick as they once did. A lot of races are run at strange tempos, a lot of weird things happening, and it's just impossible for anyone to predict. Right, Austin, yeah. The question from Spider there. So, genuine interest. Where do I see the future of Racing Watch? So, well, I don't know. It's like a lot of people don't know anything about it, but basically, like I've been operating it since like 2008, right? So, Racing Watch has been pretty much similar the whole way through. But has developed more into a community now than it has been at any stage before. So a lot of people that are like part of the Discord and whatever contribute a lot. And, sometimes it takes a lot of time for people to get the confidence to start adding and talking and whatever. But, even if they're just asking questions, usually positive stuff comes of it. So I really love the development of that side of the thing. As you said, like turnover-wise, it's harder to turn over money. I try and provide as much information as I can on top of, sort of suggested betting and things as well to try and value add or at least provide my thoughts on races and situations. Then it's, it's up to people a little bit to interpret or, choose their own staking, things like that, more than it was in the past for sure. But I think that's more a sign of the times. And I do love the community atmosphere, and I get that same sort of feel here. And yeah, to me, that you're sort of educating, helping people. It's not just, I'm not saying I'm educating everyone. Anytime anyone asks a question here and you get other people's opinion, you're sort of bouncing it off each other. You're both educating each other. And, I sit at home a lot by myself. So I'm not getting a lot of that interaction, whereas you through the website I run and that community, and through things like this, you get that stimulation, you're learning things, you're growing, and I don't think there's any amount of that is bad. And I sort of enjoy it. It's, we're all trying to feed our families at the end of the day. So I'd be lying if that wasn't the initial motivation to do this. Is to sort of, it's an advertising thing. It's about growing it. You want hopefully people like Top Sport, Betfair to see the value in it and reward you for sort of the exposure they're getting, and then it takes the pressure off punters and people to be paying the bills. You know what I mean? So this is obviously free. I provide a lot of stuff that's free. The website's not free, but that's sort of 7 days a week. So, and as I said, you've got to sort of pay bills. It's an offset to punting becoming harder. I don't turn over anywhere near as much money as I used to, and that's there's a lot of contributing factors to that. It's it's just a different, changing landscape. But I honestly enjoy this. I'd like it to develop into a sort of situation where, and we talked to Betfair, they're keen to do it, is say like, when say Scone Cup or something like that, where there's like a 2-day meeting, we may all organise, golf day or a dinner the night before or something that, or the night in between the two or something like that at sort of 5, 6. I'd like once a month, once every 2 months to be able to set up an evening, and obviously not just me. I get bored of listening to myself, but organising as good a lineup as we can to get people together and have a chat, learn, talk about things, preview the races, stuff like that. I think, those sort of things you can't have enough of. We don't get to see each other at the races as much as we used to, or well, I certainly don't, and most people that are in similar situations don't get to the races as much as they used to, and just want to reverse that as much as possible because I miss it. Callum, that's the Dallas is a one of a kind, and I don't know how old that is, but that's got to be 10 years plus at the Breakfast Creek Hotel. I remember the day. I do not remember a word of what I said, and it'd be actually pretty funny to go back and watch it. I think people just want more bets and units, but tricky to understand. Yeah, well, it's as you said, like I've got to sort of justify it to myself. I've got to justify it to myself sending out bets that I'd be happy for other people to put their money on it. You know, I'm probably over conservative the majority of the time, but I try to be 100% real with it, and that's why I'll send out a pretty detailed description of everything most of the time. Why I am, why I'm not, why I'm saying to be conservative, why I'm saying this is a good opportunity, but just be wary, and that's all I can do. Who did you work for as a trader? Bet Easy, it was called. I just sort of did their risk management sort of stuff. Used to sit there with the boss at the time and handle the majority of horse racing. They're a bit of a funny company, a bit of a crazy company, working out of an office in Redfern. It wasn't Bet Easy, it was EZY. It was before they sold out. Not Sportsbet. They sold out to it was a Packers Group and Trip, and it was, I think they became BET EASY, and then they sold out to Sportsbet. That was 10 years ago or so. It was good fun. It was good fun, but that was a pretty crazy crew, and they actually should have got a lot bigger than they did. It was just a few things went sideways. I'm going to run. Otherwise, my wife's going to stab me in the face, but good fun. Yeah, any sort of questions or whatever, you know, just always send them through. The more time I've got to prepare, the better I'll answer things. The Spiders was the one who sent through the staking questions. You know, anything you want me to research or whatever, I'm happy to do. You know, as I said, I love doing it, and it does refresh your mind. It keeps you sharp. There's a million reasons for doing things like this. As you said, always at the core of it is feeding the family, but it is what it is. Cheers, guys. Have a good night, and I'll see you later in the week. I've got some interesting ideas sort of want to roll out, but it's just always not easy. There's only so many hours in the day, right? And hopefully keep improving things, and mainly only improve things through people's feedback. But so there we go. Cheers, guys.
What are you prepared to lose today? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.